Page 46, Etude. An etude is a study piece, and this is more of a finger exercise thing for C major. Make sure you're doing my scale video, a scale on C major scale, 1 octave up and down. You need to know that scale. The fingering and all that, just like I present in the video. This piece is in 4/4 time. Let's talk about it one hand at a time first. Got a lot of quarter notes and eighth notes going on here. So here at the beginning, you're starting out in this position. I really wish they'd stop putting in these finger numbers. You only need the first finger number, that's it. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, or 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Get this rhythm. Start with the second measure, slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. But syncopated in there. Then you have a rest. And then during the rest, you got to move up here. You're just an octave higher from this position to here. So it basically, it's almost the same. It's the same rhythm, different notes here. And then during the rest, you got to move up again. And now you're here, but you got to spread out a little bit, because instead of here, you're here. For the E, C, and that's tied, so you hold it down for 7 counts. And during the rest, you're going to move down here to a B, C. Really what we're doing is a chord, like a C chord. We're just leaving out the middle note. See, we don't have to use all the notes in a chord. And then here, it's like a G chord or a 5 chord. We're just leaving out the middle note. And then during the rest, you come back down here to C chord again. And then again down here to that. It's the same notes, just in different octaves. Huh? And then you have this. This is like it was at the beginning. From then on, it's like you had to, yeah, okay. And the last line, when you move up, again, it's the same as you had at the beginning, or in the second line there. Left hand. Left hand comes in on the second line. And it's a treble clef. So you're on C and E here. You're in this position. Both hands, and then an F. It's third line, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and rest and. Make sure you do the rest and though, because you need that time to move down here to this position. It's the same rhythm. Now we're on a G chord, G position. Then a rest, you come down here, and you're doing the same thing down here. And then you come down here, and you do the same thing down here. You need to know the names of all these notes. If you don't, keep going back and checking yourself and challenging yourself. Say the names of the notes. And here, you can forget the rhythm and just play the note and say the name as an exercise to try and get it. Then fourth line down, the last 2 measures. Then you're coming back up here. See, we've been in bass clef. I didn't mention that. In the third line, going into the third measure, they give you bass clef. So you switched. So we're in bass clef here. So let's go back down. Fourth line, fourth measure here. That's tied. And then the eighth notes on 4. 4 and 1 and 4. Then you get your treble clef back, so you're coming up here like you were at the beginning. Then you try and put the hands together very slowly. Well, the first line is right hand only, so let's go to the second line when both hands are playing. So the first line was here, and during the rest you're going to come up here, and that lets you put your left hand up. You only get 1 beat to do it in, so do it. So you're here. And that's not going to be too much of a challenge, I hope, because the left hand just has these, you're just holding a note down. And then here. Sure you can do that okay, and then during the rest the right hand goes up, left hand stays where it is, and then the left hand gets this, and during a rest both hands move down here. Alright, let's talk about that. If you can, just sit, if you can practice moving both hands at once. A lot of times in piano we have to do that. If you're struggling with that, Then very quickly do one hand at a time. Generally, I move the lead hand first. The lead hand is the one closest to the direction I'm going. So if I'm going down the keyboard, in this case I'm moving down, I'll move the left hand first. Here. If I'm going up, I would move the right hand first. The lead hand goes. You see, the idea is a lot of times in music, when the hands are moving, one hand will be in the way of the other. So if, like, let's pretend I'm here and I want to go here, both hands. Well, if I move the bottom hand first, this hand's in the way. So I move the lead hand first, and that way it's out of the way for the other hand to go. So it's just a nice habit to get into. When you do this, move the lead hand first. So we're someplace, I lost where we were. We're here. And so I'm going to move this to G position and this down here. And what I'm doing is I'm aiming the thumb in the left hand. I'm going from here to here. And the little finger just goes along. So here to here. And then I do it that. And then when at the end of the line, I got to move again. I do the same thing. It's here to here. One hand at a time, real quick. Doesn't take very long. And then I'm down here. And then in the fourth line, second measure, I got to move again, and it's the same thing going down. Then in the fourth measure, the fourth line, the right hand is just moving the thumb up, and the left hand comes up here. Then in the last line, we're here for the first two measures, and then both hands have to go here. Well, again, you got one beat rest, and I move the right hand and then the left, just one after another. You can try moving both at the same time if you want. That's a little trickier. Times you have to do that, but I'm suggesting you learn this technique of moving it one hand at a time very quickly, but do the lead hand first, is all I'm saying, and you're up here. So you're moving around quite a bit here. That's part of the etude, I'm sure. So you take it as slow as you got to take it and get the notes and the rhythms. Just get those worked out. You got the fingering, we got all that worked out. So at least we can play that much. Then once you have that, now we can add the articulation. That's the phrasing and staccatos and accents or whatever else that got stuck in there. Well, in the right hand, this first one, is this a phrase or a slur? I don't know, but you're going to connect the notes. We've been doing this anyway, but now between each of these slurs, you're going to lift up. So there's a little silence. Here. And then you go to the next line. Now it's both hands. And both hands have these slurs, so you can lift up both hands. Like so. Then there's a rest. The right hand comes up. There's an accent on the first beat. You see that? You didn't have that before. So you give that first one a little bit. And actually, there's an accent up here too, but the melody right now is in the left hand. That's what we want to hear. So keep this right hand a little softer. I'll talk about that loudness and softness in a minute, but they're both accented. And the accent here. See, there's a difference between playing it without the accent putting in the accent. We want the accent this time, so here. Again, they're accented. Again, they're accented. And again, they're accented. Then we come up here and there's not accented here. You just connect them. And again, the slurs lift up. And then you come up here with the slurs. You get the idea, I hope. So we put in the slurs and the accents. Then we can go back once you kind of have a handle on that, and we'll try the dynamics. This is where you bring out the melody. The first line, it's on the right hand only. It's moderately loud, sort of loud. The legato means connect it. Well, so do the slur lines too. So that's fine. Not sure why it says legato, but okay. Sort of loud. What's that to you? I don't know. It's not loud. It's sort of loud. Second line, we're still sort of loud, but that's the right hand. The left hand needs to be soft. And now again, it's the right hand has the melody. The left hand needs to be softer. And you have that decrescendo. So now you're going to take the next couple of measures to go down to soft. Just make each of these a little softer than the one in front of it. This is softer, softer. And then the third line, you're loud. All of a sudden, you're loud. And the left hand has the melody. The right hand is just sort of loud. Rest. Again, you're still loud. The left hand's loud. Again, left hand. Left hand still. Now the right hand gets the melody and you're back like you were at the beginning. Left hand needs to be soft. Finally, you are very loud, and that's the right hand. The left hand can be loud, is okay, but the right hand's what we want to hear. This is the loudest, louder than you've been here. And when you do this, I recommend you drop the wrist with each of these quarter notes. Claps it. Don't play with that stiff wrist. Gets loud like that because you're using a lot of weight. When it gets loud, you're using the bigger muscles. So it's in this piece I tend to, what I just did is I did it with each beat. Depends on how fast I'm going, because it says lively. You'll have to decide what lively is. I think you can play this more or less about as fast as you want to, but it's got to be smooth and even. Don't go faster than that. You have your own speed limit, so don't go beyond it. Although I just about did, and I need you to make it yours. You get to know the piece and then you start feeling it, and it's a nice little etude. I like it. Let's play it together very slowly to double check these notes and rhythms. I'm not doing dynamics, just the notes and the rhythms and the articulation. I'll give us 4 counts. At the beginning of this, the right hand is here and the left hand in the next line needs to be in the same place. I suggest you just leave your left hand on your lap until the end of the first line, and then when you move the right hand up, you can bring the left hand up at that time. You got to get the right hand out of the way first, or they won't get along. They'll fight. It's a mess. 1, 2, ready, go. Three, rest. One, two, three, rest. 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 Two, three, off.